Disney Lorcana trading card game. I don't remember seeing people this excited about a game and new release in a long time. It was released at Gen Con 2023. I was at Gen Con. I didn't feel like sleeping on the floor, so I didn't get it back then because that's what you had to do. You had to go through the ordeal of a night there. And then actually since during the fall in my hometown, my friendly local game stores never had any copy. But then recently, 2 weeks ago, I was at GalaxyCon in Ohio and I was able finally to find two starting sets for the game. Each came with a pre-made deck and with a single booster pack, so you could start messing things up and altering your deck. Oh yes, I broke my hand recently, so that's why I'm not setting up things as usual. I'm gonna still show you the components and give you a sense of the game. I just don't have as much mobility. Couldn't even shuffle a deck right now, so I'm glad that I played the game before this happened. So, it's a trading card game, which shows, of course, his lineage from some of the founders from Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. But most importantly, the closest game I can think of is Keyforge. I would almost describe this, if I was to put in a single sentence, Keyforge with customization and with Disney lore, which is it's a pretty good deal. And I'll tell you already, yeah, I like this game. I like it in quite a bit. I think things are gonna go well. I know I want to play more and want to have more cards when maybe I can find them and buy them without a second mortgage. Did I already anticipate most of my conclusions? I don't know. But I know this. You're gonna create your own deck of cards, and these cards are gonna have these like totally adorable and very cool pieces of art from Disney lore. And sometimes you're gonna have these characters in the version that you know of, but sometimes since we're summoning them, I recently played Mickey Power of Illusion, and so the idea of using Magic Ink, the video game, Magic Ink to summon and create things, so that was really cool. And so we're magicians using Magic Ink to summon the canonical or alternative versions of Disney characters to do our bidding. In particular, we want them to collect victory points. And each player is going to have a tracker, and you start at 0. And the first player to collect 20 victory points wins the game. That's what you have to do. And ideally, you want to create an engine of characters that will go out there, complete their missions, and collect victory points for you. You don't have to attack the opponent, although if the opponent has a nice engine of characters that they're using to collect points, then you may want to attack their characters to disrupt their engine. And right there, that's where Keyforge really came to mind. So the characters, this is the cost that you have to pay in ink to collect, to be able to play that card. We go back to the sources of Magic the Gathering that some cards will be used as resources to allow the play of other cards. But this is a lot more flexible because you're never going to have a land that doesn't do anything, because the characters themselves can be used as resources. They become ink. So during your turn, you can play a card as long as the cost is circled by the golden frame that you see there. It can be played face down into your inkwell, and there's a section here on your playmat, into your inkwell, and it's simply just that. Boom, it becomes ink, and it stays there for the rest of the game. I'm sure later there will be effects that allow you to get the ink back, but for now, they stay there, and they count as mana. And so maybe after 2 turns, I have these 2 cards in my inkwell, and after 3 turns, I have 3. Maybe after 5, I'm okay. Maybe I don't need to play automatic, just by default cards into my inkwell. And then I will simply tap cards into my inkwell, to play cards. So if I tap 2, I can play 2. If I tap 4, I can play this card face up and now use its ability. So the cards that you play are going to have characters that stay there, and you can use them to attack the opponent or send them out to collect victory points. They may have specific actions. You may have cards that represent one-time actions, play, do what it says, and it's gone. Items that stay in front of you. A special kind of card called a song. It's Disney, so everybody likes singing in there. And songs can be used by playing the usual cost indicated here, or if you have a character with a certain ability, then you can play it basically at a discount using that ability instead of using the rank instead of the usual cost here. As for the characters themselves, like here, Merlin turned into a goat. Again, you have the cost up there, the frame tails you can be used to place in your inkwell instead. Attack and defense, basically, if you send the card to attack an opponent, that's how much damage it gives to the opponent, to a character of the opponent, and the character takes damage in return based on the attack of the opponent. And basically, when a character receives enough damage to match or exceed their defense, the card is banished. Banished because we don't kill anybody. It's Disney, people. Although, in my days, Disney movies. Anyways, and then you see there's a number of icons here, and that's how many victory points the card can produce when you send it out to collect victory points. So when I have a card in front of me, I can decide to tap it to send it to attack an opponent that has been tapped, or I can tap it to send it and collect the number of victory points indicated there. Merlin, for example, is a pretty good fighter. Those horns as a goat are pretty good. He collects 2. But Judy Hopps, for example, if sent out, she's out to make the world a better place. If sent out, she will collect 2 victory points. You see those two icons there. And you can attack your characters that have been tapped. So the idea is that if your character is just sitting there and doing nothing, maybe using some other kind of abilities or kind of like bonuses they give to other characters, they're fine. Is when they go out there to collect victory points for you, they become attackable. They become exposed to potential attacks. This is really the heart of the game. Play a card if you want into your inkwell, and you have so many cards that can go in there, and then play cards, tapping cards in your inkwell, use cards in front of you to go out on these missions to collect victory points, attack the opponent, use other abilities, and the first player to get to 20 victory points wins the game. This is Lorcana. Now again, I played only based on 2 starter decks, which are unique decks, and each comes with a single booster, so you can start altering your deck a little bit. I have to say this, the 2 decks don't seem to be balanced. This deck, which is the one I usually use with the Merlin, with the Magical Duo, and a couple of other things. And the other starter deck has the 7 Dwarves, which have like killer synergies, and it just seemed a lot more powerful. I know I lost regularly against that deck. But the game itself seems pretty excellent. I was really happy. Look, I like Keyforge, and I like the idea that in Keyforge you didn't have to attack the opponent. Because that, of course, changed the energy entirely when compared to Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, which have always been the 2 biggest in the family. But one thing that the designer of Keyforge liked the most, the idea that the decks cannot be customized, they're fixed. I know he was super proud of that. I heard a talk by him, by Richard Garfield at Gen Con when the game was released, and I was super excited about it, and I actually enjoyed Keyforge. But then it turns out that people really like to tweak and customize their decks, and the game is just more addictive if you start messing with it and try and change a card or 2 and test it than if the deck comes out fixed out of the booster. And that's why I guess, Keyforge has not replaced any of the trading card games that we've seen before. But there was an idea there, the idea that, and mind you, I still enjoy Keyforge. I have a collection of pre-made decks. But I guess that ultimately the siren song of like, what if you change 2 cards in there? Why don't we try that as synergy? It is just very appealing, not just to me, but again, to all of us who play trading card games, again, because you look at the ones that are the most successful. We like the idea of messing our decks, messing it up, trying new things. So here you have the core idea of Keyforge, which I love, which is attacking is not what makes you win. You should think of it as a secondary mechanic in most cases, because ultimately you're never going to win just by that, I guess, but it's unlikely. But is an engine build, is mainly an engine building game with the attacking element secondary to it. I like that element of Keyforge very much, and I like that we have that in Lorcana with the possibility of tweaking, adding, changing, altering your decks. And the art is great. Again, there is a reason why Disney is such a huge thing, because the art is adorable, the lore is so rich and exciting. I don't even know all these characters, and I still like the art that they come with. I'm excited because, again, these two starter decks, and maybe they were designed to really get you into the thing, but since they're not, in my opinion, very well balanced, then they really wanna get me. They really got me to want two more cards to see if I can make the Merlin deck a little more powerful, and I can start adding boosters. After a while, there will be nothing left. It'll be like Theseus, Ships, Paradox. Then my 30-year-old was like, well, I think I can improve the dwarf deck, and we start adding and changing, which turns out part of the fun. So the art is really impressive, really nice. The lore is fun, and the mechanics are very promising, very exciting. And again, it feels newer and more different from previous games in this family than I expected. I feared it was going to be a little bit like Magic the Gathering with Disney art, but it's Keyforge with Disney art and with the customization mechanic, and that is a way of spinning things around that makes Lorcana feel different and unique. And also, it makes it pretty fun. So I'm very excited about this one.